Holy wannabe Michael J. Fox, Batman! Tiki here, and I'm wandering through the dark alleys of Batman the Animated Series with my good friend Blue Dragon 5 at my side, and oh me, oh my, we've come upon a big one, folks. One that not everyone talks about, not everyone shouts its praises, but those who do shout its praises, shout it through the mountaintop. Take it away, Dragon.
You see, folks, long ago I made a solemn vow, to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series. One could say serving as his spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
And tonight we're talking about I Am the Knight. Yeah. All right, Dragon, you were very hyped up to get to this. We've already tried recording this twice. With episode with audio issues, unfortunately, but I'm sounding good, right? Right now, I'm sounding fine. God willing.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Don't give me a heart attack there. All right, so we're gonna press on. We're gonna press on. Late night, late Batcave, but happy to have anyone on board who's willing to talk through this episode with us because this is a big one. I Am the Night, Dragon, simply put, it is a very, very raw, emotional kind of revenge story, if you will, but not necessarily a revenge story. That's not a good way to put it, because I was going to say revenge for Gordon, but no, that's actually it's kind of the opposite of that. It's a very solemn kind of like self-reflection in a way. That's the best word. That's the word that I think of when I think of this episode is self-reflection, Dragon. So why don't you take it away? I know this is one of your personal favorites. This is a big sort of benchmark for you to even get here, if I remember correctly. So what do you have to say on this one?
All right, a little context. So yeah, I truly adore this episode. This episode is one of the reasons I love Jim Gordon the way I do. This was a big one. This is definitely basically reaching kind of like the fifth of kind of my top 5 favorite Batman episodes. This is kind of like the fifth one that we've reached. Not in particular in terms of ranking, in just terms of like some of the 5 best episodes of. Oddly enough, most of them season 2 episodes. Oddly enough. A little bit of backstory. This was directed by Boyd Kirkland, of course, the director of Perchance the Dream, The Grey Ghost, and Appointment in Crime Alley, all very thematically tied to this episode in one way or another. Kind of like the vulnerable side of Bruce Wayne, kind of a Thomas Wayne-esque figure, and of course, Crime Alley playing a huge role. So there's that, and of course, on the flip side of things, you have the writer, Michael Reeves. Michael Reeves, one of the all-time greats. I mean, need I say more? I mean, he worked on Mask of the Phantasm. He was kind of like the kind of one of the godfathers in the writing room to many extents. He was kind of he supervised a lot of the. He was almost like the story editor in many respects.
Mm-hmm.
So he wrote Phantasm, wrote Perchance the Dream, and wrote Vendetta. And again, thematically appropriate when we get there. A little bit more subtle with the case of Vendetta, but we'll get there. Studio worked on this. Sunrise. Oh, glorious day. It's Sunrise.
God.
Sunrise. These are the guys who did Clock King and Heart of Steel, the 2-parter for Heart of Steel, just to give a kind of a name, a few episodes they've done at this point. Basically, I've kind of hit the niche so far that Dong Yang was the house studio, as in when Spectrum's away, Dong Yang will play.
Away, Dong Yang will play.
But kind of in the middle of those two, I mean, Spectrum, as great as Spectrum, I love Spectrum. Spectrum was so good it went out of business because it dedicated so much quality to the animation. That just shows you how good Spectrum was. Sunrise, they were like, for me, like they're one rung right below Spectrum. I thought they did fantastic work. They didn't do a lot of episodes. When they did it, it was great. And they only had one persistent issue they could never quite get right. It was a minor one though, because the episode was so good. Otherwise, like who cares? It's they never quite got the size on the bat symbol consistent. It's always kind of changing size if you really look at it. Throughout all of those Sunrise episodes, I think Clock King's the best they ever got it, honestly. But anyway, point being, it's a little quibble. Not a whole lot of context outside of that, except for one thing to note is that this episode, it was always presumed that in the comics, when Jim Gordon got shot in the Officer Down story, they were very much paying tribute to this episode, where they did it so well when Gordon got shot.
Sure, sure.
All right,
Yeah,
so
and I mean, just I can totally see kids watching this and being really affected by it. And obviously, I picture, like a young dragon with that same sort of dragon. I picture you as a kid just being like this same blue avatar, except just like, with with like a little boyhood like backwards hat. But anyways, like I imagine you watching that as a kid and just like, yeah, like you're already sold on this James Gordon character. You're already like, oh man, I really like this cop character. He's a man of few words, but what words he does say is, really profound, and he's got this great back and forth with Batman. And then this episode hits, and oh man, Dragon, I could see it being taken to the next level for you for sure. All right.
yeah, I mean, this episode, in lack of a better word, this episode is when I grasped how special the Batman Gordon dynamic truly was. I was already like, as you kind of hit on the money. It's like I was already
Right.
liking this dynamic, but when this happens, like, oh god, this is something truly special, and then it just keeps getting better. They're getting coffee in later episodes. Like this is when it really gets special.
All right. So we start things off with a great panning shot down into the Batcave. Of course, Batman's being very introspective throughout pretty much all of this.
Yes, we have Batman brooding in the Batcave, kind of a classic staple, and of course, a very Shakespearean pose, lamenting here, very, very, Hamlet-like, very kind of King Lear almost even. So Alfred he inquires what's up as he enters, and he kind of checks in on his master, and the Batman's response is, "I'm tired, Alfred." And of course, Alfred's saying, "Well, it's no wonder you've taken no meals. I can't remember the last time you've slept." And then Batman responds with, "A weary body can be dealt with, Alfred, but a weary spirit, that's something else." And of course,
That right there, it's just kind of like, let's see, we're what, like maybe 20 seconds into the episode, and it's already like thesis statement right there.
oh yeah. So this is a fun little bit of continuity. I call in the rewatch. It really dazzled me. So apparently, I always remember this, but I forgot that with the episode that preceded this. So Batman checks the paper, basically visually strike his point that okay, Batman's having kind of a crisis of content, basically kind of a crisis of mission here. This episode, where he shows the paper off, and the paper says Penguin conviction overturned. Now, a little bit of continuity, maybe a little bit of
Perhaps it's interesting that the last three have almost kind of been like a Penguin trilogy almost.
yeah, you've almost got them. Birds of a feather, and this. And what's so great about this too is you look at Birds of a Feather, and again that whole episode ends on the great
You're
note
not going
of
to get this reference at all, but Penguin is the Saruman of this proverbial trilogy. Because,
okay,
Saruman wasn't in the last Lord of the Rings movie, even though he should have been. Anyways.
right. Anyway, my point.
Sorry.
Okay, my point is, Birds of Feather ended on that great note of Batman. This whole time, he thought the Penguin was gonna, go back to his old ways, and it's like, okay, well, a part of me hopes, the criminals could be rehabilitated. Maybe it would make my job, the vow I made to my parents, and this whole like crusade a lot easier. But beggars can't be choosers, essentially. But of course, by the end, he's kind of shocked by, oh my god, he actually might have had a chance if the society I'm kind of fighting to preserve here, didn't treat him so horribly. And Batman just kind of watched it unfold and he kind of turned away. And again, one could make the leap that something like that followed by, and the conviction was overturned. And again, this is kind of weighing on Batman, perhaps. If you want to read into it, you can. Otherwise, just, okay, we just need like a face villain, so it's Penguin. Either way, it works. So then we have the great line, all the great lines. Michael, I love the way Michael Reeves writes things, man. I just do. So we have sometimes old friend, I wonder if I'm doing any good out there. And Alfred's being very supportive. Like, how can you doubt it, sir? The lives you've saved, the criminals you've brought to justice, and of course, Batman's very humble response. I've put out a few fires, won a few battles, but the war, Alfred, goes on and on.
And Dragon, it's like that's the thing with this episode is that it just feels so Shakespearean. It's just kind of like right from the get go, Batman is just like asking all these like super deep interpersonal questions. Like, I'm wondering, like, what was your reaction to this as a kid, just seeing all this? Like, essentially, what it is it's like, we've been getting all these episodes upon episodes upon episodes of, like Batman kind of taking down the villain of the week, and in this one, almost it's so weird to say, but the villain is almost Batman's own psyche. It's deep. It really is deep for a kid show, especially at the time.
The villain is Batman's doubt. That's the villain in the
Yeah,
piece.
yeah.
Basically, it's the struggle. The episode. It's about this episode is so much about Batman. It's great. Basically, it's like way before we get like a Batman Begins, where again we have these movies that are so marketed on like, look at who Batman's fighting this time. He's fighting Jack Nicholson as the Joker. He's fighting the Penguin. He's having some weird times with Catwoman. Well, there's
Oh god.
this is a lot deeper, a lot more focused on the character, and where it's about the struggle of Batman, him lamenting. Basically, Batman is committed to a never-ending war on crime, but again, he did hope that things would go a lot better at this point. He's hoping that things would improve, and things have not improved as he had hoped. And again, like birds of a feather, as an example for you, he hoped things would just eventually improve. The idea is that Batman will inspire good, and that will kind of rub off on Gotham. Eventually, it'll fix itself into the vision that his parents had for the place and helping it out. And speaking of his parents, and this is really great too, is that you're probably wondering, not that this episode probably doesn't happen a couple times to Batman in his life, or he's kind of lamenting things, but again, why is Batman lamenting this just all of a sudden out of the blue? There's a very good reason for that.
Oh, yeah.
The reason it's all put in perspective is that the events of this episode fall on the anniversary of his parents' death, which is a genius idea. Like, okay, why would all this be weighing on Batman of all days? There you go. Like, do you have it, Alfred? And we reveal, okay, a little box. So we're going to find out.
What's in the box?
Full of some important stuff, which we're going to get some iconic stuff, some really great visual stuff. But more on that later.
My favorite shot in the whole episode comes from the contents of said box.
It does. So Batman leaves. I love how we linger on, like, kind of Alfred, like, kind of like feeling sorry for his master there. Really nice. Like kind of the boy that he's seen go through so much in this life. We really set the stage for the Hamlet of the Batman episodes. I should mention this too. Kevin Conroy, very very in the onset very first episode when he auditioned for Batman. He basically kind of realized, because everyone's kind of going there either doing like a kind of their version of Adam West, or basically everyone had seen Adam West at that point for Batman, and they're wondering, okay, do we want to do like kind of a Keaton impression? Wait, what are we doing? Kevin Conroy goes in there, reads the material, seeing what they're going for, and says, oh, so you're doing Hamlet. So basically, he always played his Batman like Hamlet. This is Kevin Conroy.
Interesting.
Phantasm notwithstanding, this episode is Kevin Conroy's potentially his finest performance of the character. Quite possibly. At least in the animated series. I mean, second, not counting Phantasm. Phantasm's a movie.
Yeah. Phantasm is kind of its own beast in its own right.
Yes.
All right, so meanwhile, we see Michael J. Fox on the street corner. I'm sorry, Dragon. The more I watch this episode, and keep in mind, because we've been so delayed on this one, I've watched it a solid 4 or 5 times at this point. This kid just looks more and more like Michael J. Fox every time I watch it.
So of course, this kid is Wizard, who is portrayed by a very young
Not
Seth
by Michael
Green.
J. Fox, but by someone else who's pretty recognizable. Yeah, Seth Green, very young Seth Green.
Who again would go on to do a lot of funny stuff with Batman, with the Robot Chicken, and especially when the Mark Hamill ones. I love when I got Mark Hamill to do the voice of Joker on that. Anyway, so we have Wizard. Wizard, essentially, in short, Wizard, just kind of this low-level kid scamming bus fare that he'll never use, to get on board the bus and go somewhere. Which again, a little bit of foreshadow there. Bus fare that he'll never use. And I love how that comes back. By the way, I love how he's scamming. He's using the old bus. It's like a slipping Jimmy almost. He's using the old bus fare scam. Like, can I get some money to play in the desperate kid? Oh, man, I could use some money to get home to my folks, and just like using it, just like pocketing the cash. So again, someone who sees Gotham as a lost cause, and one could argue, a less lethal version of crime that is created through desperation, much like other crimes and other potential blooming criminals that are created in the very poor district that is Park Row in Gotham, like a very notable case. Just drawing our parallels there, folks. Just drawing the parallels. Meanwhile, what's going on a few blocks up, Tiki? What's going on a few blocks up?
Okay, let's see. So a few blocks up. God, I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm kind of lost here.
The GCPD. The GCPD are setting up a bust for the drug
Oh
smuggling
yeah, right.
operation.
Okay, I'm sorry. So Bullock is Bullock is impatient for this bus to get going. He says like, "I'd say we take them down now before any of them get word that we're on to them. What are we waiting for?" And Bullock, of course, much to his chagrin, Gordon says, "We're waiting on Batman. He got us the dirt on the Jazz Man." And oh boy, Dragon, this sets into motion a couple things. Of course, it's going to be the main reason why Gordon gets injured, in the end of the first act of the episode, I would say. But also, it sets up the Jazzman himself, who is probably one of my favorite parts of the episode, both ironically and maybe somewhat unironically, because I have so much fun with him. But anyways, yeah, there we go.
Yes, of course. Basically, Jazzman is he runs this drug smuggling operation. That's the big what the bust is all about. By the way, we should get out of the way now before we don't have to cover it during the exposition scene later, so we can cover it now.
Right.
A little drug smuggling operation. So, and also it sets up that this is why Bullock is specifically going to blame Batman later because like Batman said he was going to be here, therefore we're going to wait. Okay.
Sure.
Speaking of Batman, let's go shopping.
Bat
So
merchandise! Oh my
Oh,
god! Look at all this Bat merchandise, Dragon! Woo!
I want it all, and now, thanks to clever marketing, at least 20 years later, I can actually have all this merchandise now.
Really? Okay, so let's go through it really
Well,
quick.
most of it. I mean, I shouldn't say all, but most.
So we have the statue of Batman. We have the car. We have the T-shirt with the muscles. We have what looks to be like a face mold of Batman. We have some bat caps. We have a puzzle of the animated series logo. We have just some cardboard cut out standee of the Batman logo. Anything else that I'm missing here, Dragon?
Yeah, and the kid's like wearing a mask inside, and the point is he's all decked out in a little bit of Batman that his mother is buying him. So, point being, I love it when we have in-universe merchandise. I mean, of course, I'll say like Captain America: The First Avenger is like a really prime example of this. It's always great when you can work in-universe merch because it makes so much sense. It's a logical logic at its finest. Like if you had superheroes in your world, they would have merchandise. They would.
Same reason why we love Turk Barrick hawking the DVDs.
Yes. Well, no, not Turk Barrett. That was someone else.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It wasn't Turk Barrett, but yeah. My bad.
Okay. So
it's been a long time since the Netflix universe, folks.
Yes. It'd be funny if Turk Barrett did that, though. Anyway, moving on.
It would be funny if he did. It seems like something he would do, right?
Okay, anyway. So let's see. So again, also it's on the note here. This is going to be important for later when Batman has his big scene in the cave later. So, I love this. Again, this is an episode about what Batman means. It supports how this episode's about what Batman means to many people, how he's kind of interpreted by Gotham at this point in the Crusade. How he measures his impact. How Batman measures his impact and his purpose. And again, we're seeing it earmarked here. And it's going to roll. We have Wizard rolling his eyes. Oh, Batman! You got to imagine how Batman feels about that too. Of like, man, they're cashing in my image, where my image is like, I'm trying to save Gotham from itself here. I'm trying to save Gotham from all the crime and everything, and they're selling merchandise of me. That's not what I planned on. Okay, it's back to the heavy stuff, folks. So it's been. We're in Crime Alley, and fun fact on the rewatch that kind of caught me on this is that, oh my god, it's been a year since Appointment in Crime Alley. If you look at season 1, we have Appointment in Crime Alley, and again he's going there with Leslie Tompkins yet again. It's been a year. That's quite nice. A little continuity there.
Yeah.
So Batman meets with
Leslie. That.
Meets with old Leslie Tompkins there, and we have this great warm up line here where he says, "You're quieter than usual tonight." And Batman's response is, "Every year I come here, I wonder if it should be the last time. Maybe I should move on, try living a normal life." And then we have the dueling philosophies of Santayana.
Those who forget the past are condemned to repeat it.
And what's Batman's side of the argument?
Batman's side of the argument said, he also said, someone who is a fanatic is someone who doubles down while losing sight of his goal.
Yes. He redoubles his efforts. Yes. And so again, I like that what this establishes too is that Leslie Tompkins, again, she supports the path that he's taken, but again, as you'll see, she's always like saying you should get some rest. Like she's never telling him not to be Batman. She's always telling him, like, again, like don't push yourself to the brink like when you get injured. Okay, that's kind of her role in life. I love that. She's like she's in support of the mission. She's arguing for Batman instead of against Batman, which is kind of crazy, but I love it. Okay, so then we have the big heavy moment here, where of course classic staple of Batman on the anniversary, especially on the anniversary, Crime Alley. He goes to Crime Alley. He's even made in the '89 movie. He puts the roses on the spot where his parents died.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So
and
I
of
love
course,
this.
we're going to see a cyclical nature to these roses coming up, man. Oh my God, these roses are going to be just pivotal coming up, Dragon. Wow.
Okay, so as Batman, I always love the edit on this, man. I love this. So as Batman laments, and of course he's lamenting on things, and of course he's taking a little breathers to think of like why he does this. Nearby, in a nearby alley, Wizard is just walking, and he's just grabbed and thrown into a dumpster in the alley. Or something bad's about to happen to him, and I love the cut. I love Mike McCushen's music. Is one of the best Batman scores I've heard in the animated series. Basically, Shirley Walker, she godfathered some of the best. I guess godmothered. She godmothered some of the best talent in the animated series that bled into like Justice League and all the other animated, DCAU shows. And Mike McCushen was always my favorite outside Shirley Walker. Like she wrote your classic themes, and these guys, these are the kids of the next generation, man. They're going places.
Sure. Yeah.
So Mike McCushen's music here is we have like da-na-na, and like Batman looks up and he's just there's that's like it's almost like if you could add words to the score, be not again. It's like, yes, I just love Batman. Here's the call of injustice, and he's springing into action. I love it. So we have these two kind of like low level bosses, I guess. The guys who run the corner, Willie and Monk. Willie's the tall one, Monk's the short guy. They want their cut for letting.
Yeah, these
Wizard...
guys are like really interesting, kind of just like one-off goon characters, right?
Yeah, again, kind of the desperate criminals of Crime Alley, who again just kind of built a fairly small time business of scamming people. So Willie and Monk, they're saying like, we let you work that. You never call, you never write, you never give us our piece of kale for letting you work that corner. And basically, they want 50. Here's how it's going to work. You can give us $50. We're going to cut it your liver and fry it in a pan. One of your favorites.
That is just like a very brutal threat, man. It really is.
So. Problem. Very Michael J. Fox in the delivery, I will admit. Well, I haven't exactly got it.
To be fair, it's not just the delivery. It's also the fact that he's wearing kind of like the red coat, and he's got the brown hair. He's kind of like the same age that Michael J. Fox was in his heyday.
All right, so point being, it's a no-go. He doesn't have the $50, but he's just got like a few small change from the guys earlier. He has no $50 on him. Then what you do got is a whole world of trouble. So then we have this great shot. I love the reflection of the brass knuckles. Again, like we're getting away with this on Saturday morning television, but all these little subtle, really artful touches. We see the reflection of the brass knuckles. And then there's always this little small bit that bothers. It's a little nitpick. It doesn't matter. It's just always a fun thing to notice. Is that so? So Batman obviously swoops and saves the day here, but basically Willie is about to like deliver the brass knuckled blow. Before he does that, he's basically lifted up in the air and thrown to the dumpster. But right as he does that, Monk turns around and says, Willie, and while looking at him says, Willie, why are you saying it twice? You see what's happening to him right now. It's like, how are you shocked by this? Like the double Willie bit's always kind of anyway. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Point: Batman tosses Willie in the dumpster, and then he chases Monk down as he runs down Crime Alley. Uses the old batarang with the bat rope, like hog ties him, drags him on the, kind of strips him up, and he falls. And then we have you handle this bit, your favorite.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, he falls right on the frickin' flowers, Dragon, and Batman's face. The way that Batman's face is animated when he discovers these flowers is it's gut wrenching, Dragon, and I know you and I kind of share the similar sentiment for the destruction of things that aren't necessarily valuable in a monetary sense, just things that are valuable in a sentimental sense.
Mm-hmm.
And this is brutal. This is fucking brutal. It really is. I mean, in regards to that, it doesn't really get much worse than that.
So, a way of looking at it as well is, again, it's the ultimate symbol. So, of course, as this is happening, as Batman's making his way, checking the roses that he just put down, because he knows exactly where those roses are. Wizard's just whining. He's just saying, "Oh, don't worry about me, Bats. I don't need some help from some jerk in long underwear." And it's like,
Yeah.
then of course Batman sees the rose. The point being, the whole symbol of this rose bed is just the ingratitude. And again, it's like Batman. The roses were like the reminder of the mission. The crumpled rose, like it's Batman. It's a perfect symbol for Batman's doubt and just the ingratitude. And like maybe this isn't working. You know, it's
Sure.
great symbol for that. All right. Then, of course, we have the Mitchell Street mission bit here. So basically, as Wizard just tries to sleek away, Batman just grabs him by the shoulder and he pulls him in and asks, "Is there room at the Mitchell Street mission for one more?" And Leslie says, "Of course." And I love that Batman is taking a moment, not so much to punish the kid, but he is, while he's still a little ticked off at the kid, a little bit. He's like helping the kid at the same time. Say, okay, I'm going to try to steer you on the straight and narrow because I know you're in crime alley. This is not a good part of town. I'm going to try to set you straight, which is what my parents would want. But I'm going to, thrust upon to you, which is quite nice.
Mm-hmm.
Right, meanwhile,
all right,
Jazzman.
Oh boy! All right, this is where the episode really sings. Dragon, get it? Get it?
Oh, I get it. I get it. I do.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Let's see. So Jazzman is holed up, right?
Yeah, Jazzman arrives, which means it's now or never. They go with the bus. Gordon gives the go order after Bullock kind of puts it in perspective there. But then, unfortunately, it's the short. Just kind of economize a little bit here. The bus was a setup. The Jazzman knew they were coming. The Jazzman was tipped off, so he kind of turned into a setup where basically all his men are like armed and like at the window and ready. Like, they probably weren't. They hoped surprise was going to be on their side, the GCPD, which was not the case in this regard. So basically, the Jazzman company opened fire on the GCPD, which obviously is not going to fare well for one of our hero characters. Meanwhile, back at Crime Alley, Leslie Tompkins, she's asking if Batman's going home. It's 3 a.m. Are you going home? She says, "I have promises to keep, Leslie. Promises
That's
to keep."
another one of my favorite lines of the whole episode. Just kind of like, again, the Shakespearean kind of like, we don't really need to say a whole lot. We get a lot with very little.
And I love that this moment, this little solitary moment, that just a little stop at Crime Alley. It's like the closest thing Batman has to a selfish act. The closest thing he has to a selfish act.
It's not a selfish act at all because he is like helping that kid.
He is, but I'm just saying, like, stopping there and the kid. The point is, the closest thing to, like, just taking time to do this before he goes the other thing. Again, it's not even selfish. It's the closest thing he could ever do to doing something selfish. It cost him time. It cost him some very precious time, and you feel so bad for him. It's like, you just do it. How could you blame
Baron Cohen is not impressed.
You're right.
He's unhappy, Dragon.
Okay.
All right, I'm sorry.
Anyway,
that was a lame joke.
Okay, so then we have the most epic bat entrance you're ever going to see in your life here. So basically, a helicopter is trying to swoop in on the Jazzman, trying to kind of help the situation out. It doesn't work. Basically, the helicopter gets hit by bullets. The men jump out, so they're okay. The men in the helicopter jump out at the last second, but helicopter goes down, a little explosion, and out of the explosion on the rooftop.
Oh yeah,
or just Batman flowing cape, the whole shebang, and he looks great.
There's like a big explosion behind him. It's almost kind of like Die Hard-esque.
But Die Hard with Batman, which as we know is like that's the way you make any Die Hard movie like 20 times better.
All right, so Dragon, let's set up exactly who this Jazzman guy is and why we like him so much.
Okay, so the Jazzman is voiced by Brian George. A little fun fact: Brian George, I think a lot of people will recognize him as Babu Bhatt from Seinfeld. He's Raj Koothrappali's father on The Big Bang Theory. But the better thing, though, it's kind of fun. He voices Alfred. He's voiced Alfred a couple times. He voiced him in Killing Joke and the Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's been doing a lot of. I think he was Professor Pig in Beware the Batman. I'm not 100% on that. I'm pretty sure it was him. The point being, Brian George. Really good voice actor. And I believe he's the point being that Brian George is a really good voice actor. He pops up in a lot of things. He's completely unrecognizable here. He does not sound like he usually sounds here because again, he's usually kind of the prim and proper butler voice. Does not have that all. Here's the Jazzman. So Jazzman, basically, I'm sorry, you take the reins on Jazzman. Why do you like the Jazzman?
Well, I like the Jazz Man just very simply because he's just kind of like an old school gangster villain. He kind of reminds me of Hammerhead from the old school, like Stan Lee, Steve Ditko Spider-Man comics.
Yeah.
You know, or more specifically, like a Dick Tracy villain. He's like a Dick Tracy villain in the Batman universe,
Yeah.
almost.
Very Dick Tracy kind
And
of like.
I
Yeah.
love how seriously he takes the pun and the gimmick.
Yeah, I absolutely. I'm completely sympathetic with the Dick Tracy old school gangster kind of signature, like a gangster with a gimmick. In this case, he's a big lover of jazz. But the other thing, though, is I love that with his love of jazz, I always assume like the Jazzman probably worked his way up as a hitman who, again, basically carried his Tommy gun in like a cello case, in a jazz related case. And that's kind of that's where he earned the name on the streets, the Jazzman, and of course, his propensity for jazz, which, again, one of the greatest things about the score in this episode, especially the climax when we get to it, there's a jazz theme worked in there. When the jazz man's involved, the jazz theme comes into play in the music, and that's wonderful.
Oh God!
All right, so he's been waiting. So the jazz man, as he says before he kind of takes fire, which again, presumably when he takes fire, he's fulfilling his wish here. He says, "I've been waiting a long time to play taps for Gordon."
That's a good impression.
I've seen this episode a lot of times.
Oh, I'm sure you have. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
All right, so point being, then he opens fire and presumably he hits his mark, which is terrifying when you think about that. Okay, so outside the warehouse.
Yeah, that's one thing that's kind of disquieted me about this episode and the few times I've rewatched it is like, for exactly how long does Gordon go just kind of like, you know, like untended to in the midst of all this?
He and Bullock are separated, so that's again.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's
And we have an awesome bit here where Batman he's tethered. He's on top of the roof of the warehouse. He tethers the bat line to like a little thing on the roof, and basically he runs across the top of the roof, dispersing tear gas and all these little tear gas pelts from his belt. Whatever they animated how it comes out of the belt. Basically, he's just like dispersing it as he's running across. They're really smart. Again, Batman kind of helping save the day, or as Bullock points out, we weren't close enough to get tear gas, and of course Batman helped him save the day, helped him kind of save the GCPD's bacon in the shootout. Whereas Bullock spots Batman, which is going to be important, but he knows that Batman showed up, but a little too late. So it's going to be important later. Jazzman, meanwhile, he flees to a truck. Good action in this episode. All sorts of great action in this episode. So the Jazzman, he flees to a truck. Batman gives chase. He hops on the truck. Awesome bit where he uses the grappling gun, my favorite bat gadget. He wraps the grappling gun, hooks it onto like this chain on the other end of the truck. Basically, fires it around a pole and basically swings the speeding truck into a crash. So the Jazzman's caught.
Oh man!
And in a swift, I love how swift the motion is. In the same motion, basically Batman hops off the truck before it crashes, runs into an alley to observe his work as the Jazzman's arrested. And again, little smile on Batman's face, just Batman observing his work in the alley.
It's just like that sick irony of Batman that we love about him is that the moment he feels comfortable, that's when the worst stuff happens.
Classic writing, man. You always have to set your character back the minute he feels satisfied with something. It's like Batman's satisfied. He's kind of reinstilled a little bit of hope in the mission here. It says, you know, it's like things are. This is okay. I had a little setback with the roses, but you know what? Things went good here. You know, maybe my mission it's a success. Maybe I'm making Mole proud. And of course, we got to set him back. And we have the most heartbreaking. So Bullock's all confident. Yeah, I guess the fat lady just sung, Jimmy. Hey, where's the commish? The commish should see this. And then we have this bit where he says, Commissioner, and he looks over the two SWAT guys.
Oh my God.
And we have the most chilling moment.
Oh my God, man. That delivery. Jesus.
Then for me, the most chilling moment of the entire Batman the Animated Series for me. We see
just the zoom into Batman's horrified face.
It's the whole trimming, man. It's a 3-part shot. Okay, so they have Bullock.
Oh God.
And then we reveal Gordon. Jim Gordon on the ground under a lamppost, paralleling the death pose of Thomas Wayne with his glasses strewn about the ground.
Yeah.
Like as we see that, and then like as the McQuistion score, and then just the little as we then go to Batman. As we zoom in on Batman, you see Batman as we've never seen him before. Batman's never this vulnerable, never this surprised.
Oh,
this is Batman's worst. This is literally what Batman fights against every night. He wants a tragedy like this to not happen. And what does he get? Literally posed the way his father was on the night he died, around Crime Alley. It's like this is Batman's worst nightmare. unfolding before his eyes, and just that moment will always give me goosebumps and make my blood boil, make my blood chill. Just seeing like, oh god, just seeing Batman, that little surprise moment, because it's so disquiet. Like the way the score goes up a little, and you're like, it's like, oh, it's a fun thing. Okay, so Gordon's in the OR, Batman's on the rooftop. We set up the window washer on the outside. That's going to be important later,
Very
kids.
important, very important. Put that in your notes, kids. We'll come back to that.
All right, so meanwhile, on the TV, Summer Gleason giving a little exposition on Jimmy the Jazzman Peak. Basically, they matched the bullet to his gun, which means, they got him dead to rights. Of course, he says, Jazz, Sidlov just calls him Jazz. And Jazzman, do you have any comments?
Dragon, Jazzman is on his birth certificate, man. Come on.
It is. Let's just say it was time to pay the piper.
Hey, Dragon, it's time to play. What joke should we do? Da, 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 da. Dragon, behind door number 1, we have the Shrek 4 Rumpelstiltskin joke. Behind door number 2, we have a reference to our beloved JGI writer, director extraordinaire, Piper Henson.
I'm gonna pick. What should I go with, viewing audience? Okay, door number 2.
Pick door number 1.
2.
All right. Well, all right. Fine. Door number 2. All right. It's time to pay the piper.
Purdue.
All right. There we go. Dragon, just for good measure. No, seriously, it's time to pay the piper. All right. Anyways.
All right. Okay, we are silliness aside. Again, a man has been shot.
Let us hope that's the last time we have to go through that bit.
Anyway, so
you're right. We shouldn't be joking. Absolutely.
Okay, anyway, so let's see. So, all right. Okay, so Gordon. Now we're in Gordon's hospital room. Batman visits his wounded friend. Again, a Batman-Gordon scene under the worst circumstances, which is so disquieting. Also, bit of a precursor to Dark Knight Rises, where we have the injured Gordon in the hospital bed. Being
you're right. Yeah.
Okay, and again, we know Nolan watched Batman the Animated Series because we have the whole John Daggett character, who, of course, is modeled after Roland Daggett from the Animated Series. So, okay, so we have a guilt-ridden Batman, and just all Conroy's performance here is, I don't know if you can hear me, Jim. I'm sorry. If I hadn't stopped in Crime Alley. And then Barbara enters. Of course, Barbara. It's good old Babs, man. It's the future. It's the girl who will soon be Batgirl.
Right. Much before that name was kind of like dragged through the mud and then kind of like come out like, hey, I'm a badass in the mud. What's so wrong about mud? That's the Gotham version of Barbara. This Barbara is really nice.
Yeah, and again, I love that we set her up in Heart of Steel, and again, she popped in a few times. She's gonna have like another she's gonna have a bigger episode soon. But again, this is always a great touch. And I love that she was in this episode so much, and I love that we built in Batgirl so naturally within the series. So,
right.
Barbara's telling Batman not to blame himself. He caught the shooter. Her father's not doing that well at the moment, but she's trying to unload the burden. Like, hey, don't worry about it. And you got the shooter. You've done all you can. So then a grieving Bullock enters, and Bullock's not taking it so well because again, he's best friend. He's besties with Gordon, man. He's not doing that well. He idolizes Gordon to an extent. So he's grieving, and he blames Batman for showing up late. And says, "You should have known this is set up." Again, the wonderful thing about Batman is that Batman is. He's so well trained. He's so, again, he knows everything. It's the age old expression, because he's Batman. And what do you say to this character when, even though because he's Batman, he gets something wrong? He doesn't know everything. He's not perfect. He's as close to perfect as you're going to get. But even Batman, bit of an off day. Again, it was a sensitive day for him. Showed up 5 minutes late. And look what happens. And Bullock just, he doesn't mean a lot of this, but he's always had that J. Jonah Jameson-esque relationship before he fully trusts Batman. And he's basically unloading a lot of his guilt and a lot of his being upset onto him, saying, as far as I'm concerned, you're responsible for him being here as the jazz man.
Mm-hmm.
Which hurts. He says, maybe you should have shot the right guy. I mean, Bullock's just unrelenting here. Barbara's sticking up for Batman. And then we just have
and then Dragon we get Can I go?
Yeah. Do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I really like this. A monumentous occasion, Dragon. We have an on-camera bat exit.
the saddest thing you've ever seen, man. It's
So
just
Batman is just like sick of hearing Harvey shit, and of course, I'm sure he's just broken up enough about everything already, and he just walks out the window. Dragon just casually takes a stroll out the window,
and Bullock has a
and
really
it's
great, it's a really great tirade here.
This ain't over yet, outlaw. You hear me? You'll go down for this, and I ain't talking the law either. I'm talking you and me.
Yeah, really, Bobby Costanzo, man, he was so good. He's
He's
always good in
great
this
in
series.
this episode, man. I mean, yeah, you're right. He's always good, but
Yeah.
in this episode, I mean, this is his Emmy episode.
Yeah, remember, he rarely gets dramatic stuff to do, and this is like a really
Well, man, he really knocked it out of the park with the oh my god.
I know you have the oh my god, and you have this is like the reason again. This is why I was so excited to see like Bullock kind of had done so well on the Gotham show because we had this. This is like my beginnings with Bullock.
Sure.
I knew we could go with those places because it's episodes like this where you have the fun, but you could also have just like like the drama. Okay. All right. So okay. After the Solemn Bad exit, we have an upset Batman trashing the Batcave, Citizen Kane style.
This is Citizen Kane, and then we kind of get into like a mini sort of like literary odyssey here, like because we get a little bit of Phantom of the Opera. This is Citizen Kane. Like Batman really kind of goes into full reclose mode here in the second act, but it's understandable for sure, especially with that Bullock tirade.
Oh yeah, so we have this bit. He's just tearing up the cave. I love the score again. Conroy's scream, man. Oh my god, Andre Romano got the best stuff out of Conroy. I mean, he's done.
This is like Darth Vader's scream, but like done so much better.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You don't get Conroy.
This is like proof to why Darth Vader's scream should have just been, just a scream, not a no.
And then again, this is not a knock against Conroy, but these days his Batman does not sound as good as this Batman because that's what Andre Romano got out of him within all the DCAU stuff, man. That's anyway. So we have the thing I really took away from this scene was just trash in the Batcave and everything. Like it's a gut wrenching scene, but
right.
What it really is to me is I think it's like a parallel to like the Donner Superman of it all. Of course, Donner Superman, one of the great ones, all these powers, and I couldn't even save him. And in Batman's case, I have all these tools at my disposal, all these resources, all this training, and I couldn't even save the person I care about. It's like,
yeah. All right.
Judge Vargas. It's Judge Vargas.
Vargas. Yeah. We know
Vargas
him
from the Strange Secrets, from the Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. That lady.
Reoccurring character.
Yeah, right. Well, I like that. She knows Jim Gordon. She also, knew Bruce. The point being, she was familiar with little touchstone of Jim Gordon. Look, if we want to be all legally, she probably should have been recused, but who cares anyway? So she essentially sends the Jazz Man to Stonegate Penitentiary, which in the comics is Blackgate, just for the kids following along in the home game. I couldn't get away with Blackgate on Saturday morning television. A little too dark, I guess.
Right.
Point being, she is sent to Stonegate, which we saw in the Penguin episode. Again, a little touchstone there. To await trial, which again, the idea, I think there's might be a little symbol here where, again, the idea is the jails are overcrowded because Batman's doing such a good job. Overcrowded. So, a little sentiment to Batman is making a difference out there. All right, so Jazz Man, he's in like the prison yard at Stonegate, and he's chatting up Spider.
This is one of my favorite scenes too.
You want to take it?
I love these names. I love I'll take them through. I love these names. So Jazzman is just like he wants to send Gordon to Heartland. And Dragon, what's the name of this guy he's talking to?
Okay, so this is Spider Conway, who we saw, and again, this is Michael Reeves' little continuity here. Spider Conway was in the Vendetta episode with Killer Croc.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So Spider Conway is like, not a problem, bro. Talk to Southside Eddie. He'll get you out on the street and he'll get you on the street and out of Gotham in no time. Then I'm sorry, this is where we get him talking about Gordon, right? He's like, no, not a chance. I need to send Gordon to Harpland.
I gotta give Gordon a one-way trip to Harpland.
And this is where we get the backstory too, right?
Yes, this is where we learn that 6 years ago, 6 years ago, Gordon busted him on the biggest score of his life, of his career, which is why he has the grudge against Gordon, which is why he has unfinished business. Before he can basically he's going to be able to get out of Gotham and never turn back. He'll be able to get away with it scot free, but he can't let Gordon live,
Uh-huh.
which is not good because Gordon's not really in a state to defend himself right now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Meanwhile, Dick Grayson. So we have Dick Grayson called to Wayne Manor at the
This is the
behest of
Phantom of
Alfred.
the Opera scene for me, Dragon.
It
really is. So Dick Grayson descends into the back seat, the back cave, heavy shades of shadows and everything going on. And we see Bruce Wayne still in the Bat costume. You know, Robin's kind of trying to make light of that, like, gee, Bruce, you keeping that costume for too long, you'll grow mushrooms under your armpits. But no, Bruce is not having any of the silly business with Robin, man. He is still just morose AF.
Yeah, he's been held up in the cave for 3 days, which is why Alfred called, because he can't get him out of the cave. He can't get him to take the mask off. He can't get him out of there for 3 days, so he calls in Dick from college. So Robin tries to reassure Batman that it's not his fault, that you can't be everywhere. Which again he's making a solid case for him here, and again this is like Batman again, kind of forgetting kind of the inspirational kind of the inspirational part of the mission here. That's kind of the point.
Sure.
So he says he was you don't understand, Dick. He was a friend, more than a friend. Jim Gordon is the same age my father would have been had he. And I love the pause. I love that he doesn't finish it. I just love that. Oh god! And this is where it opened my eyes, man. I'm like, oh god, that's why. That's another level to the Batman Gordon friendship. I never in a million years would have called that. Oh god, it's like his father. And of course with the mustache, Thomas Wayne. I hate how they shaved him lately, but the point being, in the olden days, Thomas Wayne had a mustache.
Sure.
All right, and if I'd been there 5 minutes sooner, and again, Dick is making the counterpoint that, look, you do more than one man can, more than one man's expected to do. And just, Batman's going on to say, look, I chose this life. I used the night. I became the night. And if we have the most prolific line, the best line ever, debatably the best line coined from the animated series, like the best summation of who Batman is. So Batman has this great line where it says, I'll go down someday. I know I'm going to go down someday. It might be Joker or Two-Face. Maybe some punk who gets lucky. My decision, no regrets.
And Dragon, man, there's so much to unpack with this, because it's just like, it's almost like Mask of the Phantasm levels of deep, It's just like, it's Batman in a nutshell. It's like, it's blue meth Batman, as we like to call it.
That it is.
I love the imagery of like some punk that gets lucky. It's like, it's so descriptive.
And that's the thing, Tiki. We're in a culture at a time when Batman right now, 80 years down the line, we're always talking about the ending. Like we do with the Batman Endgame story. We're always about these. How does Batman end? What is the last Batman story? And of course, I think this line always perfectly. Whenever I think of like how Batman's going to go out, this is always my answer to that. Because again, it could be anybody. Batman go out in the most ridiculous. Like he could be eaten by a shark. Look at the 60s Bat. He could be eaten by a shark. He could be killed by a giant prop the Riddler has cooked up. It could be he could die in any numerous sort of ways. It could be anybody. And I always imagine if Batman were to go down, it would be in Crime Alley. He would die in Crime Alley. But that's what I'm saying. It would be a punk who gets lucky. That has to.
Yeah. It is an interesting sentiment for sure.
And of course, Robin's argument that Jim Gordon's a cop. He knew the risk, and of course, Batman has it's a wonderful conversation. It's a wonderful back. I'm going to get through what's intercut in this sequence in a second, but basically, Batman has this great line where it says, how long till I let someone else I care about down? Leslie, Alfred, you. I love the pause on you, because it's really the personal one right there. And as all this is going down, this is such a wonderful edit I caught years later when we were getting ready for this. I love how we paralleled the jazz man escaping through the laundry and essentially out of Stonegate Penitentiary to Batman losing hope in the mission, essentially getting into a Spider-Man No More section of Act 2, get into the whole Batman No More of it all here.
Oh, yeah.
And then then it gets even better. Then is when Conroy gets impassioned, man. This is where he gets impassioned. He works himself up to a phantasm here, where Batman essentially says he really comes down on himself, and he views his mission as a failure. He says how much good have I really done? They sell T-shirts of me. I've become a cliche, something more for the tourists than the streets. When you look too long into the abyss looks back through you. Maybe it's time for Batman to return to the night that spawned him in the first place. And again, this is where you're the fan of the opera thing. But also, I like to call it a reverse phantasm because, again, the birth of Batman in Mask of the Phantasm is he's in the cave. The bats came up from the thing, and of course, we have that Solomon where he puts on the mask for the first time. Alfred sees him like, my God. Big moment. Of course, we do the inverse of that, where he removes the mask and throws it down the chasm where he first saw the bats come out. That's powerful stuff, man. Like, oh god. And of course, the scene Bruce Wayne's face finally outside of the costume too. It's like,
no, that's the thing. That's what really struck me about this moment is that it's 16 minutes roughly into the episode, and finally seeing Bruce Wayne's face, it really does remind you that there is a very conflicted man over all this visual aesthetic. And he is genuinely just rot with guilt, as we've seen throughout the episode, but it just kind of reaches a fever pitch out here.
So as Batman calls it quits, the Jazzman has escaped, and again the fate of Batman is in great peril. It's an excellent end to an act too, man. Or again, like Batman's calling it quits, the Jazzman's out there, and again, Gordon, this is not good for anybody.
All
right, so speaking of which, beginning Act 3 here, real quick Act 3, mind you. So Barbara, she's worried about the Jazzman having escaped and her father's safety. Dick hopes that, man, I think Batman's the only one who's going to be able to stop him. And again, just for context sake, Barbara does not know any of this. She doesn't know that Dick Grayson's, Robin or the Batman. She's not in the fold at all. She's no costume, nothing at this point. So Dick, then he's at Wayne Manor now. Dick Grayson's at Wayne Manor, and Bruce is kind of in his smoking jacket and everything. Imagine Lego Batman without the cowl on. It's essentially kind of what
I love this imagery there. Yeah. He's just at this point. He's just like, no, I can't. Like, I'm just over it.
I love how silent Bruce does not say a word until the very end of the scene, and Bruce Wayne doesn't say a word. Bruce Wayne does not say a word. So Dick is chewing.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah,
he's chewing out a silent Bruce Wayne, essentially saying, "I'm going to go. Fine, you're not going to help. I'm going to go after the Jazzman myself." And this line always struck a chord with me. This is some of the stuff I love about Batman as a character, and I love that Robin voiced it. Bruce, you taught me everything I know about crime fight. The most important lesson was you taught me to never give up. It's like, that's who Batman is. Batman never gives up, man. I love that Robin's calling out on that. So it gave me the feels. Anyway, so
for sure.
So then, Robin's suited up and he's about to get on the bat cycle. And like as he gets on there, puts this helmet on, gloved hand comes on Robin's shoulder, and we reveal Batman. So again, Bruce was kind of introspective during that scene.
I love this. That's probably another probably of my favorite moments of the episode. It's probably that. It's the Phantom of the Opera moment, and then it's way earlier on with the flowers. Like just those three bits are kind of like a trilogy of just like everything you need. It's almost like a series of comic book panels. It's like the flowers, Batman crushed, and then Batman throwing off the mask, and then him getting back in the mask. Yes.
So Bruce doesn't say a word, but Batman has this epic return line. It's just, "No, Dick, this is my hunt." So then Batman's back. He's grappling onto gargoyles. Like, this is a full-on Batman has returned, no pun intended. So he's back. He's on the gargoyle. And he's on his way to the hospital to save the day. Bullock, meanwhile, he's driving. He gets a call in that there's been a sighting of the Jazzman on Adams and O'Neill, of course, the men who are responsible for us getting a dark detective Batman. Denny O'Neill and Neil Adams. Little road call there. Anyway. So the Jazzman, okay, here we go. Okay, buckle up, folks. We're getting into it now. Okay, I'm gonna Okay, so Jazzman knocks out a window washer. The one from earlier knocks out the window washer. Barbara picks a very inopportune time to get some coffee because it's been a long night. I feel for her, but she's going outside to get some coffee.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's just like I feel like this whole getting the coffee thing is like one of the very few like, screw it, we don't care. It's a minor convenience. We
got to
live
have her
with it and treat
surprised.
people
We have to
fast.
make for dramatic for the
Yeah.
composition of the shot, man. Anyway, so the Jazzman. Okay, so Billy's like she leaves the room to get coffee. Meanwhile, the Jazzman he's on the little platform. He's going all the way up, and he takes his gun. He takes aim. Time to face the music, Gordon. So he's about to take a shot. Bullock's on the scene. He's on the scene now. Then we have the best climax in all Batman the Animated Series, and I stand by this, man. This series is the best climax I've ever seen in the whole animated series. So Batarang knocks the gun out of his hand as we reveal Batman just like surprise attacks him. Batarang knocks the gun out of the hand. Batman jumps on him, and of course, as the gun falls, it goes off, shoots the line. Where basically now they're both falling, and as the platform is now just kind of like dangling by one rope, and basically Batman he grabs onto the bottom rope. If that rope wasn't there, that rope wasn't severed. My God, he was just hanging there like Jazzman's kicking him, and basically Jazzman's climbing up.
It's almost kind of like Temple of Doom style.
It is, and basically I love how wrought with tension this whole sequence is. Those sequences will never leave my mind ever. I could do this scene with my eyes closed.
So Barbara enters the room with her coffee in tow, and she sees the Jazzman outside the window. Oh my God, terror of terrors coming true.
So basically, as the Jazzman, he's climbed up to the platform. Batman, he's not going to be able to make it in time. So what he does is he basically he propels himself from the building. He basically swings the platform. Barbara very quickly taking action. You're a little bit of Batgirl, like a chutzpah, if you will. She's trying to like kind of prevent him from getting in using like the using like a little hospital divider curtain thing. Basically, again, I love how the score is mounting up here. McQuistion's score is tremendous here. Again, a little bit of the, basically mixing jazz with tension, then eventually the Batman theme, and it's tremendous. So basically, Batman swings the Jazzman and he crashes through the glass. The cop outside hears. He pulls his gun. And he tries to enter the room. Jazzman, he basically, basically shoves the cop out of there, grabs his gun. Oh my God! So Jazzman now has a gun. Batman is climbing up.
That moment with the cop is like another, just like it's a little bit of a gimme, but at the same point, it's kind of just like I vividly remember the first time I watched this. I was like, okay, like he's in the room with Barbara, but it's okay because he doesn't have the gun. And then the cop comes in, and it's like, oh God, why'd the cop have to come in? Now he's got the gun. God damn it.
So during all this, Batman is so Bullock was on the scene. He's heading upside in the building. He's not going to make it in time. Batman, meanwhile, he's climbing up the platform, all determined. And again, I love the scores reflecting this. He's determined, like, I won't be late again. I won't be late again. As he's climbing up, Barbara, she shields her father, like, no. And as she shields her father, we then have the ultimate Bat save, the best Batman save ever. So it's the slow-mo money shot. And again, we slow down the score, again, going from the jazz to the dramatic and to the Batman theme. Is like, so Barbara, the hammer clicks back in slow-mo. As he picks up the gun, the hammer clicks back. Barbara, shields her father. Then Batman, he grabs for the shuriken batarang with his left hand, and like as the batarang leaves his hand and goes in midair, you hear the Batman thing. Dun, dun, and basically, you don't know. Oh God, I don't know if it's gonna make it. I don't know if it's gonna make it. Throws the shuriken batarang and lands like right in the gun, right as the hammer like is about to hit the bull and basically make the whole thing go off. Basically, gun goes off in the Jazzman's hand, like blows up in his hand, just in the nick of time. And of course, right in that moment, Bullock he bursts through the door. JC, under arrest. Like hands up, Jazzman, hands up, Jimmy. So he takes the Jazzman in, and of course, all the commotion, all the gun going off, the whole thing, the whole shebang. Gordon wakes up now. Jim's awake.
Oh God! Here we go. All right,
folks. I may cry during this. I'm going to try to resist the urge. I'm going to do. Okay, so Jim awakens, and the first thing he asks, because he's a good cop, man. He's asking the bus, did it go okay? Of course, Batman's reassuring her, says, yes, Jim. Now, I love how tender he's being here, too. Yes, now just get some rest. And, of course, Gordon's one of Bob Hastings' best scenes here, man, where he's just saying, gotta keep fighting. Never stop. It's what I try to live by. If I were younger, could have been like you. Always wanted to be a hero. I love how choked up he gets when he says always want to be because he means it. He's in a vulnerable state right now. It's in the hospital, man. He's just woken up from essentially a medical coma practically.
Oh God.
So then we have the bit, man. There's the heart melting bit where Batman he grabs Jim's hand, and I love how we soften Batman's eyes. We kind of do like the reverse triangle thing on the eyes, and you can see Batman's getting choked up too. Just saying, "You are a hero."
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So again, what's to break this scene down a little bit? So one, this is the wisdom Batman needed to hear while he was doubting himself the whole episode. That Gordon kind of gave that to him. He kind of took the burden off. Like, no, like you never give up, you never stop. Which is again what he lives by and what Batman needs to live by is the words he needed to hear from someone he respected and he was friends with. And also, this is why I love Jim Gordon, the characters. I've always said it. And it's one part that Gordon's the smart cop who realizes, let's just cut out the BS. Let's just trust this guy instead of making him like, let's not send a bunch of SWAT teams after him, waste resources. Let's just bring him into our side. Let's cut out the middleman. Let's work with the vigilante. And the other side of it is that Jim Gordon, to me, is kind of the human version of Batman. Obviously, Batman is a mortal guy. I get it. But what I'm getting at is that take away the years of training, all the resources, all the money, take away all of that. Jim Gordon and Batman are identical morally, as in like these guys are Jim Gordon is as mortal a guy as Batman is, and I think that's why that's why you have the respect and the foundation of the friendship, and that's what Gordon's speaking to. If I'd been a little younger, I could have been like you in that respect. If he'd been a little younger and world traveled a little bit, yeah, he could have been a Batman. I could buy it. He had the spirit of a Batman, absolutely. So. The episode could have ended there, man. It could have ended right there and got an Emmy in my opinion. But then it gets even better. What happens?
I mean, we get an update from the Michael J. Fox type. Wait, remind me what his name is.
Wizard. It's Wizard.
Wizard. Right. God, I always forget about that because it's such a random like street kid name.
I keep thinking of a certain little video game related movie when I think of this guy, but.
Oh God, you're right. I didn't even think of that. But all right, so Batman is like up to your old tricks again. And who's the owner of this bus ticket? Hey man, I'm the owner. But this time I think so basically he's essentially just telling Batman that Batman sort of talks some sense into him, like when other people told him to move back home and he just wouldn't listen, and for some reason it got through to him in Batman's case. And of course the big coup here is when he says, I'm sure that people tell you this all the time, but thank you, you're a true hero, or something to that extent.
Basically he says, I bet he cuts off the sentiment here, just saying, look, I bet you probably saved my life. Look, I bet you hear this all the time. I got to go. I got a bus to catch. Thanks, though.
Yeah.
And Batman smiles, and he goes, he grapples onto a building. He's just standing. He's looking over Gotham in the night sky, again, hence the title, looking at the night sky. And all of this, man, there's all of this just a tremendous payoff to Batman refinding his purpose. Again, he's seen that he has made a difference. The mission's not just working and stopping crime, because remember, man, he literally stopped the Gordon family from being gunned down. I mean, he's stopping a family from being gunned down. So you have that, but you also have he's making a difference on the streets in the non-violent ways through Wizard and through maybe there is a little bit of hope in the mission here. He's honoring the vow that he made that is affecting Gotham the way he had hoped. It's a beautiful ending.
Oh yeah. Okay. Woo! All right, Dragon. So, final thoughts on my end. I mean, look, this is one that, of course, you grew up with. Like, you could wax poetic about it all day. I've seen it like 4 times, and I like it. I think it gets better and better every time I watch it. I do think it's kind of a hidden gem within the Batman the Animated Series canon. I really do. That being said, of course, you grew up with it and it's a big pivotal part of your childhood and everything. So I apologize, folks, if Dragon did a majority of the talking then, and I am, a little bit tired here, but God damn it, we had to get through this one, Dragon. This is another episode. Sometimes we come upon these episodes where it's like, fate just does not want us to record them. We really wanted to press on with this one, Dragon, because this is a pretty pivotal one in the animated series lore, so I hope we did it justice. Anyways, so final thoughts. Like I said, I don't want to go as far as to say it is my personal favorite. I would probably still give the edge to something like Perchance, personally. But I could absolutely see why it is your favorite Dragon with the with the Gordon stuff, and it is like obviously by far and away the best Gordon stuff that we've seen in the series so far. So by that respect, it works. It very much works.
And final thoughts for me, this again, look, my favorite thing. It's in the top five. It's really impossible to rank these Batman episodes. I'm talking like just in no particular order. You got like Laughing Fish, you got I Am the Night, you got Perchance to Dream, you got Almost Got Him, and you got Heart of Ice. Like those are tremendous. Those five alone, right? You could build a Batman off of those five episodes alone, my friend. um, this episode in particular, this is one of the finest episodes of the animated series, no question. Sometimes it gets overlooked and underrated, and I think that's crazy because you look at this episode, it's almost like a perfect kind of summation of the Batman character in many regards. Again, Conroy he gives his Hamlet performance for Batman, and it's something to behold because this episode truly says so much about the character himself, his goals, his motivations, his purpose, and all of it kind of being reflected upon. We showcase the supporting characters so well. I was so moved by where we took the Batman, Gordon dynamic, and kind of, and basically, again, of course, it made me a Gordon fan for life. Let's be honest. The episode doesn't showcase a rogue like so many of the episodes do. Nothing against those episodes. Again, like how can you knock a Heart of Ice? Seriously, how can you do that? Or it Almost Got Him. It's impossible. But that's what I'm saying. Like so many episodes, this is so separated from the pack. They have this and Perchance the Dream, and Perchance the Dream even has the Mad Hatter in it. So you take that. It's kind of on the fringes in that regard. Like,
no, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
That's the thing. This episode, it stands out for that reason. It's a true Batman episode. It's not about. And while there is a phenomenal sequence with the Jazzman isn't the focus. The episode just sums up why I love this character so much, and it does it so well. And again, in my top five, no question. Just I adore this episode. I could talk about it all night. We don't have that time because again, it is the night and we go. It's the end of the night, so to speak.
I'm literally falling asleep as we speak. So Doja Dragon, Bill Doja us.
Another Green Arrow villain ish. A new love interest. A demon lurking in the shadows. A society of shadows. Can Batman and this mystery woman foil this dizzying plot, or will Gotham be trapped in an everlasting Hitchcock film? Tune in and find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Bat Cave with Off Balance. Gonna send Gordon to